In today's video, we will be doing a massive stereo upgrade to the pathetic factory Toyota Tacoma speaker system for just $115. And the best part, this is 100% plug and play. So if you guys are like me, you don't really know anything about stereos, trust me, you can install this. It will be a huge upgrade over the stock setup. So let's get started. Welcome back to the Tacomaholic channel, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today's video is sponsored by nobody because apparently I'm not large enough to attract sponsors. So if you guys want to go ahead and thumbs up the video and subscribe, that'll help the channel grow so I can attract some sponsors and afford to do more fun Tacoma mods like this for you guys. Okay guys, now I have already done one side of the truck, but here is the pieces associated with the setup I'm going to be talking about today. I will put a link for all this stuff in the video description, including the tools you'll need to do this, but it is very simple. Now I went with some Rockford Fosgate speakers. The speakers you go with, I know, people like Kicker or, name your brand. It doesn't really matter. No matter what speakers you go with, I guarantee you they're going to be a massive upgrade over the factory speakers you see right here. The magnet sort of stuck to my tailgate here, but just make sure that on the back, if I can rotate this, and I think all of these door component speakers come like this, there are a tab for the negative and positive wire. That's all you need to make this work. So the parts associated are the front 6x9 speaker, the rear 6.5 speaker. What I linked to on Amazon does come with one pair for the front and one pair for the back. $75 for the speakers. You will need a bracket pair for the 6x9s or adapter, whatever you want to call it, and the 6.5s. One pair of each of these. Total was 25 bucks. And then you will need these adapter harnesses. What I will link to, they are 10 bucks each, and it comes with all four, so 2 for each side. So all in all, 115 bucks, and I guarantee you, you will be impressed with the sound quality upgrade over the crappy factory speakers. As long as you understand, I'm not replacing the head unit, I'm not adding an amp, I'm not adding a big subwoofer or anything like that, but nonetheless, if you flip these over, you can see the magnet right there on these. I want to say it's about an inch thick, and if you compare it to these speakers, very pathetic. You can even just tell by the strength of the magnets grabbing on my metal tailgate here. This one, actually, I'm going to weigh these in just a second to show you guys just the heft, the mass, the girth of what we are upgrading to. Okay, so here is one of the factory 6.5-inch speakers, putting it on my little digital scale here, and that is 6.5 ounces. Compare that to the Rockford Fosgate I'm upgrading to. So we went from 6.5 ounces to 1 pound, 12.5 ounces. And now for the front 6x9 speakers, these are 10 ounces on the money. And the new Rockford Fosgate, 2 pounds, 7.7 ounces. Huge difference. And you can, like I said, you can feel that just when you're holding these. So all you need to install them, this is very straightforward. My speakers did come with the screws needed to get the speaker mounted on the adapter. These are plug and play. You need just one of these trim removal tool sets, a 10mm socket, and on the 6.5-inch bracket, I couldn't get it to work. I think because these are made for 6 to 6 3/4-inch diameter speakers. These tabs right here, you can see this one, that one, pretty much all of them on this outside ring. I'm going to take my Dremel tool and shave them off so the speaker actually sits flush in there. I tried rotating it any which way, couldn't get it to sit flush, so I'm going to shave those off. If you don't have a Dremel tool, I guess you could file them down or use some kind of snips, but I'm going to get this all smoothed away so it's a smooth circle so I can get that easily installed. And here's what the top of that bracket looks like once I shaved off all of those tabs. You can see once I put the speaker in there, I can lift the bracket up. It is nice and flush, and the bracket actually has pre-drilled holes in it, so you can just rotate that around until you get those lined up to attach the speaker to the actual bracket. You could do that now. I like to put the bracket or adapter in first where it's going on the door, then get the speaker installed, just because I'm a little OCD about this, and I like to have the Rockford Fosgate logo parallel to the ground because I feel like that makes it sound better.
He wasn't right in the hat.
I Shaving off those tabs was literally the most difficult part of this install. If you have a Dremel, even that part's easy. So now we are actually going to get to the install. I'm going to start with the rear door here. Now, you may have noticed I have already taken off my panels. I did a separate video for this, if you don't know how, linked right above, so check that out. Just wanted to try to save a little time on this video. So everything is unplugged from where the door lock, the window, all that stuff is right here on that harness. There is one harness on the speaker you can see right here, so I'm going to unplug that first. Okay, with the power to the speaker unplugged, to remove the factory crappy speaker, there are 3 10mm bolts. You can see one right here, and then one hiding on the bottom right there. So go ahead and take your 10mm socket and remove those. Here are the 3 bolts holding the speaker on. You will be reusing these to put the new adapter on, so don't lose these. Keep them off to the side for now. The speaker, once those bolts are off, it doesn't just pop free, so you will need to take one of your trim removal tools and sort of put it behind the factory bracket and the metal of the door, and just give it a light pry, you can see, and it comes right off. So go ahead and remove this whole thing. You can throw this away. I'm not going to keep mine. They're pretty much worthless. If you can, when you take a look at them, they feel like they're made out of like paper. It's ridiculous. I am not making that up either if you've never seen these in person. Okay guys, now this is a perfect time. I'm going to go ahead and add some sound deadening material to the inside of my door. So if you are not interested in adding sound deadening material, you can go ahead and skip ahead. I will put the timestamp below right now where the rest of the speaker installation occurs. But if you are interested in adding some sound deadening material, I'll link below what I'm using. It is the Noiko 80mm. I did a video for this on my rear molly rack right here when I sound deadened the whole wall, so you can check that out on just how to use the material in general. But I'm going to go ahead and remove this plastic piece, which I assume just helps keep water and dirt on that side of the door if you're getting splashes. I'm going to remove this metal bracket for the handle. Again, just 3 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3. That will come off. And you can pull this plastic off since it's August and humid and nasty. It's sort of got this tar substance on this, so I am just going to remove this whole piece of plastic, and then I'll show you the exposed door. Okay guys, and you can see with that plastic removed, it exposes this giant hole right here, the one up here, and since the speaker's not installed now, it just gives you a lot more access to get the sound deadening material in there and make your life a whole lot easier. Step 1, if you're going to be doing this like me, not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but it is pretty dirty back here, I guess from water splashing up from wheeling, so I'm going to go ahead and clean the surface with these Tub of Towel degreasing wipes. These are fantastic if you've never used them, link down in the description. Literally just going to wipe that back panel, which is the outside metal of the door, inside of it of course, just to clean up the surface so it's as clean as possible for the sound deadening material to adhere as strongly as possible. Alright, got the inside of the door wiped down as quickly as possible. Word of caution, all these metal edges right here, the ones you can see on the outside and whatever's on the inside, they're a lot sharper than you think, so just be careful or wear like either some latex gloves and just go slowly. This should be enough to protect your hands and fingers, or like some regular mechanics gloves. I wiped the door down, gonna let that dry for just a little bit, and I'm gonna come back in like maybe early winter or late autumn and remove this tar-like glue that was holding on that piece of plastic. In the middle or late summer right here, it's just too soft. I feel like it's gonna be a pain. So I'm going to leave that for now, so that's, I don't know, I'll let you guys know how that comes off when it's a little cooler outside, but I feel like once it's like maybe 50 degrees, I should be able to just wipe it down, but it's just too sticky right now, so I'm going to leave that for the time being. And now is a perfect time to go ahead and install that door handle bracket, so that's a quick picture of the orientation in case you got it backwards. Make sure you tighten this down appropriately, not too tight so you're going to strip anything back here, but if you don't tighten this down all the way, guess what's going to be the first thing to rattle? Now I am going to go ahead and sound deaden the inside of the door. I'm not going to show the entire process because again I have that video linked right above where I show how to use the material. This is the Noiko, it's 80mm. They have black, silver, it doesn't really matter since it's going on the inside of your door. I'll put a link to this down below. It comes with this, you can get this roller tool, again I'll link that below also, to just sort of help it get it on the surface as good as possible. But with those sharp edges in there, you can sort of use the roller right in here, but the back corners, I'm pretty much just going to be using my hand because I don't want to cut myself up. Main thing to consider when using the Noiko sound deadening material on the inside of your door, just because it's tight spaces and I'm literally going to get like all the corners and everything, use much smaller pieces. Like this is probably the largest piece I'll use, and I'll start in the bottom corner right there and then cut another strip and then go all the way down. Again, make sure you're wearing gloves just to protect your hands. And there is, I guess from like the window levers and stuff that raise and lower the window, there's like grease in here also. So maybe a long sleeve shirt, like a work shirt, you don't care about getting messed up. So I'll show you the finished product in just a second. And here's a quick tour of the sound deadening material. And if you've never used this stuff before, it makes a huge difference. I'm trying to show you some of the few panels so you can see I went all the way back there, got as much covered as I can. And again, smaller pieces is the key here. Try not to cut yourself on the metal. Take your time, you'll be good to go. And you can tell just by the sound the door makes when you close it. I mean, you probably can't tell on camera, but it just feels solid now. And of course, that'll eliminate road noise and make the output from your speakers sound better. And back to the actual rear door speaker installation, we are going to take that adapter bracket and place it. You can see it's sort of lipped, so you're going to put it so the dish is pointed outside. This is the orientation, if I described that right. You're just going to line it up with the holes right here on the white plastic tabs and use those bolts I said earlier from the factory speaker to install it. And there is the adapter bracket installed. Again, make sure all the screws are tight enough. Give this a test shake because you know that will vibrate if it's not tightened down all the way. It's a little tricky to get this on, but you can see there's a few of these. It's like a long skinny tab and a short fat tab. It uses all of these short fat tabs. Two right there, two right there. Those go at the top like the ears if you're thinking about like Mickey Mouse face. And the single down here goes on the bottom. Get them all just a little started and then tighten them down evenly so the whole bracket sucks in flush. Next up, there's a grommet right here. I'm going to take my knife and screwdriver, you can see, and just poke a hole right in the middle because we are going to feed the wire through there just to keep it protected. Okay, got the grommet cut. We are going to put that back in place and feed the factory harness through the grommet right there. I cut it big enough, it should go through. This is sometimes a pain. There it is. Go ahead and pull that down. I suppose you could take the grommet off since this has a wire loom on it, but that'll just risk having this rub on the metal in there. So just go ahead and cut the grommet, make it easier. So that's hanging down now. We are going to take that wire adapter, plug this end right here into the factory one, and the other ends will attach to the back of the speaker. Here is the back of the speaker, if that's going to focus for you on camera. The thicker tab right there on the left is the positive. The skinnier one on the right is the negative. So just matching up with the wires right there, black is negative, white is positive, and these connections just slip right over the speaker tabs. There are the tabs connected when you're doing this. Just make sure the plastic reddish orange part here goes all the way down on the tab just to make sure the connection is as solid as possible. So just in case road vibrations and stuff, if you put this on halfway, it might shake loose over time. So now all we're going to do, like I mentioned before, I'm going to orient mine so the Rockford Fosgate logo is parallel to the ground. There are plenty of holes around the outside of the speaker here and as well on the speaker bracket adapter. Just line those up and use the supplied black screws and tighten that down. I'm going to show this real quick before I tighten everything down, but if you just put the speaker against the adapter bracket flush and try to line up the holes, you're probably going to go crazy trying to do that. So what I did, you just get one lined up, tighten it down just a little bit so it's not going to come loose, thread another screw through where it looks like another hole lines up and do that, and you can see I have the whole thing. I've got 4 of the screws in there holding it tight. They're not at like an exact north, south, east, west orientation, but 4 of these screws is going to hold this thing in very secure. It doesn't matter that 2 are sort of offset up here. So you can see there's a hole about every inch or so around the whole thing like a clock. Just get everything lined up and then don't tighten down. When you have all 4 screws in, don't tighten one all the way down. I'm going to tighten this one just a little, then this one, then that one, so on and so forth until the entire speaker face is flush with the adapter bracket. And there she is, all tightened down. I like to use a regular, like a fatter head Phillips screwdriver just to have a little more control versus like an impact driver or whatever. Because I would imagine it'd be pretty easy to strip these Phillips head screws out trying to get them in. There is like plastic channels behind here that once they bite in, it sort of guides it in. That's why I said sort of go like clockwise, don't tighten one down all the way and risk damaging anything. So I suppose before you tighten this down would be an excellent time once everything's plugged in to turn your truck on, turn the radio stereo on, and actually make sure you're getting power and sound to this, and you can actually feel the bass upgrade versus the crappy stock speakers. Okay guys, and that is it as far as the installation goes for the rear speaker. Of course, next you would put your door panel on, plug everything back in, so on and so forth. And the installation for the front 6x9 is exactly the same, so I'm not going to show that. The only difference really is, of course, the speaker is a different shape, but there, instead of 3 10mm bolts holding the speaker on, there are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, one at each corner. And again, when you pull those off, you will save those for the new bracket. Everything else is the same. If you aren't going to sound deaden this front door though, I will say when you take this plastic off, on my truck at least, there is a tan metal piece right here that ties into the door handle bracket. If you take that bracket off and take that metal piece off, it's just a bunch of Phillips head screws and 2 10mm bolts at the top. If you take that off, it'll give you a huge space right here that you can reach in there to get that sound deadening material on. One other quick thing to point out for the front door, you can see I have the adapter bracket on, about to connect the adapter harness to the factory harness and run it through, but on the back door there was a rubber grommet to run through. This one right here, I'm going to use this hole, which does not have a rubber grommet. The factory wires do have a protective loom under them, so you should just be able to tuck that back there fine, but if you're paranoid about that stuff like me, I'm just going to take a couple small strips of black electrical tape and run it along the metal right here just to sort of get rid of that potentially sharp edge for the wire and cause a potential issue down the road, so just be aware of that. Now for now I am just upgrading the 4 door speakers. Here is the front tweeter. Upgrading this tweeter up here on the front doors would be an inexpensive way to get some more high-end for the system, so might be doing that in the future and not sure about a head unit upgrade, but stay tuned for all that. Alright everybody, that is it for the install video. Please comment below, let me know what you thought, and if you plan on going with something like this for yourself. Again, this is 100% plug and play, no amplifier, no head unit, no splicing, soldering, any of that stuff. So if you are like me, don't have many electrical skills or knowledge of speaker sound systems in general, this might be the option for you. If you do have that kind of knowledge and you could recommend a good front door upper tweeter kit and maybe possibly a head unit, comment below, let me know. That might be something I might look at upgrading in the future. Nothing crazy, just something to give it a little more kick. And as always, please consider subscribing and give the video a thumbs up if you found it useful. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.